The giants. Next door, India and China. India and China, two massive countries, billions of people, both are rising powers. Their relationship matters. It's not just about them, it affects the whole world. Will they be friends? Will they be rivals? The future is uncertain, but one thing is for sure. They can't ignore each other, they share a long border, they have a shared history, and they have a lot to gain from cooperation. But there are also challenges. There are border disputes, there are economic tensions, and there's a history of mistrust. 1 billion customers, India's Allure. India has something China wants, a huge market. Over 1.4 billion people live in India. That's a lot of potential customers. For Chinese companies, it's a goldmine. Think about it. Smartphones, cars, clothes, the possibilities are endless. India also offers something else. Cheap labor. Chinese wages are rising. Indian wages are still low. This makes India attractive for manufacturing. Chinese companies could set up factories in India, they could make products for the Indian market, and they could even export them back to China. The trade imbalance, China's upper hand. The economic relationship between China and India is far from balanced. Here's the problem. The trade relationship is lopsided. China exports significantly more to India than it imports. China sells a lot to India. From electronics to machinery, the flow of goods is substantial. But India doesn't sell much to China. The volume of Indian exports to China is relatively small. In 2022, India imported over $118 billion worth of goods from China. This includes a wide range of products. That's a lot of stuff. These goods fill Indian markets and warehouses. What did India sell to China? The answer is much less. Around $28 billion worth of goods. That's a big difference. The gap is striking. This trade deficit is a problem for India. It affects the economy and creates financial stress. It means India is sending a lot of money to China. This outflow of capital can be concerning. And it means India is dependent on China for many essential goods. From pharmaceuticals to electronics, this dependency is significant. Addressing this imbalance is crucial for India's economic stability and growth. Policymakers are working on strategies to reduce this dependency and boost local production. Encouraging local manufacturing and diversifying trade partners are key steps. The goal is to create a more balanced and sustainable trade relationship. Section 4. Stuck in a rut, India's dependence problem. India has found itself in a challenging position, heavily reliant on imports from China for a wide range of products. This dependence has significant implications for the country's economy and its geopolitical stance. This dependence gives China leverage. With such a strong hold on the supply chain, China can influence terms and conditions to its advantage. China knows India needs its products. From electronics to everyday household items, the Indian market is flooded with goods bearing the Made in China label. So it doesn't feel pressure to be friendly. Why should it? When you hold the cards, you dictate the game. This dynamic creates an imbalance in negotiations. It's like being the only pizza place in town. When you're the sole provider, you don't have to worry about competition. You don't have to offer great service. The customers will come regardless because they have no other choice. People are still going to order your pizza because they're hungry. The lack of alternatives forces them to accept whatever is available. This dependency impacts other areas too. It's not just about consumer goods, it extends to industrial components and raw materials. For example, Chinese investment in India is relatively low. Despite the trade volume, China doesn't see India as a lucrative investment destination. Why invest heavily in a country that isn't a major economic partner? The lack of mutual economic engagement stifles potential growth. It's like dating someone who's not that into you. The relationship lacks depth and commitment. You might hang out, but you're not putting a ring on it. The connection remains superficial with no long-term plans or investments. Section 5. Flipping the script, a path forward for India. India stands at a crucial juncture, a moment in history where it can redefine its future. So what can India do? It needs to change the game. The old ways won't suffice in this rapidly evolving global landscape. First, India needs to make more things at home. By bolstering its domestic manufacturing capabilities, it can create jobs and stimulate economic growth. It needs to boost its manufacturing. This means investing in technology, infrastructure and skills training to ensure that Indian products are competitive on the global stage. This will reduce its reliance on Chinese imports. By becoming more self-sufficient, India can protect itself from global supply chain disruptions. Second, India needs to find new trading partners. Diversifying its trade relationships will open up new markets and opportunities. It needs to diversify its exports. By expanding the range of products it sells abroad, India can tap into new revenue streams and reduce economic vulnerabilities. This will give India more options and reduce its dependence on the Chinese market. A diversified export strategy will make the economy more resilient. It's like having multiple dating apps. The more options you have, the better your chances of finding a good match. If one isn't working out, you have other options. It won't be easy. The path to self-reliance and economic independence is fraught with challenges. But India has to step up. The country has the talent, the resources, and the determination to succeed. It's time to change the dynamic. The future is in India's hands, and it's time to seize the moment. It's time for India to become less dependent and more self-reliant. By taking bold steps today, India can secure a prosperous and independent future for generations to come.